I am super excited to bring you a recent interview we conducted with Tang. Nick is very well known in real estate networking space, but he started off on a very humble path. He first started in real estate as a wholesaler, but now he's transitioned into a full-blown investor, and he also runs some of the largest real estate networking events across the country. Let's see what he had to say. Welcome everyone. Today I'm joined with a very special guest. He is a legend in the real estate industry here in New Jersey and across the United States, Tang. I'm so happy to have you in studio today, brother. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, anytime, bro.
I can't wait to dig in deep and find out what makes you tick. Not only is Nick a very, very seasoned investor, but Nick is a very interesting and educated person. I've learned so much from him just from the very few interactions we've had, and I am dying to have you on the show today just so people can see what type of mentality you have. I can't wait to dig in. So Nick, just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself growing up as a kid, or maybe when you first got into this industry.
Okay, well, as a kid, a lot of people actually, I didn't even know until I had my first son, but I didn't realize I was autistic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was autistic, and I was in special education all my life, and so I was like, in a way, I existed in a bubble, but I didn't even know. And I remember coming to America. Again, I have a crazy background. I came over to America, but as a refugee. I went. We had to sneak into Thailand. We got captured by pirates. All this crazy stuff. No one believes that stuff, you know. And to be honest with you, I forgot about that even experience because as a child, I was just focused on playing and stuff like that. And one day I watched the news and they were like, hey, people are getting captured by pirates. I'm like, wait, that happened to me.
You didn't know what to call it, but they were pirates.
Yeah, yeah. But no, so I came to America really young, and I remember my dad was always trying to, raise me in a way where I was gonna be almost into business because my dad taught me programming at a young age. And then I was like, what do I do next? And he's like, why don't you go get clients? And I was 14 at the time. And so I was like, how do you do that? He's like, go out, hand out flyers. And I went out and handed out flyers promoting my programming services. And somebody called me and I showed up and I got the opportunity. I did the programming. I got paid, but I didn't even know what money was. Mm-hmm. And then when I was 17, 18, I was hanging out with all these friends of mine that I thought were really cool. And we would always go to parties. And so I was like, why don't we throw a party? And we can charge people. And we did it, and it worked. And so I guess me as a person that, as an entrepreneur, I never knew I couldn't be it. So I just did it. Whatever idea I came up with, I just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how I got into business. That's how I got into also real estate. I actually didn't get into real estate until I went through the party business. I made a lot of money in the party business. Once you make a lot of money, you upgrade into a bigger business. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing car shows. I rented convention centers, did car shows with them, and then one day I lost all my money.
Okay.
Because I was so careless. Because I was like, oh yeah, it's so easy. You're making so much money, buying everything you want to buy. I became careless. And when I lost all my money, it was 23.
Okay.
And when you've been on a high for 5, 6 years, and you didn't go to school, didn't go to college, because you were making more money than people going to college, mm-hmm. And then you lose it all, what do you do, And so I thought about oh my God, I was so depressed, I had nothing, didn't know where to start. So I decided to get a job and go to school, do what my parents always wanted. And as much as I didn't like it, because I was like, when I first started working, I was making $10 an hour, and I jumped it up to $15, $20 an hour, $25 an hour. But as an entrepreneur, as a person that has made money, a lot of money within a day or two, you cannot forget that experience, that feeling, And so I always kept my eyes open, my ears open for a better opportunity. And it wasn't until 2 years in, when I was 25, I was at Rutgers, and I had a classmate who was flipping houses with no money. But when you hear that, and having done all businesses that I've done with money, you don't think that's real.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and so I didn't think he was real. And we would race down this street behind Rutgers University, like every other night whenever we have class together. And then one day he shows up with his brand new G35. And I also knew where he lived because he lived with his mom, but then he now lives in a luxury apartment.
Okay.
And I was like, wait a minute, I guess this is real. And so I reviewed everything that he was sharing with me because he was trying to get me into business with him. And I gave it a shot, and it worked. And that's how I got in.
So you were hooked from that point on?
Yeah, I was hooked. It's you know, it's I think that one of the biggest fears in life is to do something that that's different, right? Or is to try something you've never done before. And then 2 is to challenge your own perspective.
Yeah.
You know, like I was fortunate to not be afraid to start ideas. A lot of people are.
Yeah.
And then, so I was never afraid to start, but to believe that, wow, like you can do something with no money. That's and been doing things with money all your life. You know, it's hard, you know, but going through that, I've learned that there's always an opposite to everything, and that opposite is also possible.
Absolutely. So when you were 23, you lost all your money. Now,
Yeah.
did you lose all your money because of a bad investment in the
The car shows, yeah.
car shows, or was it because you were just being reckless and spending money on things that you didn't need?
That and carelessness.
Okay, so
yeah,
it was both.
Yeah, it was both. It was both. Like when you're on a high, you're on a high.
What lesson did you learn there?
What I've learned there is that money, how much money you make or have, does not determine how well you know something. Okay, because people are always like, oh yeah, you know, he's a millionaire, you know, but yeah, like, but the market changes, he's gonna still be a millionaire. You know what I mean?
Of course, it's easy to ride a wave.
Exactly, exactly, and so, so that's what I've learned in that experience.
Okay, tell us about your first real estate investment. Now, once your friend put the bug in your ear, what was your first deal like? And you were probably a little scared, right, going in, or were you no fear?
You know, that's the thing. Like, I was never afraid to start.
Okay.
You know, and this is how I also am. I don't try to learn everything right off the bat. What I did is, once I found out he was successful, I went on and I bought as many books as I could buy. Mainly because I had no money, right? I lost my money like 2 years ago, and I was still paying off debts.
Yes.
And so I went to the bookstore. I bought whatever books I could buy. I would sit there and read, but I don't read the whole book. I just read the first, like the chapters that I need to read. Like, oh, okay, I gotta generate phone calls. You know, so I would just read one book's perspective on how to do marketing, another book's perspective on how to do marketing. So I would stack up on like 5-10 different books on how to do marketing, you know, and then I would go and apply it.
Yeah.
And then once I get the phone calls, I then go back and look at all the same books, but I'm reading the next chapter.
Okay.
And the reason why I operated like that was because I wanted it to be fresh. You know, looking at it now, I realize the benefit of that. But back then, that was just how I was.
Yeah.
And because I was focusing in essence on one chapter at a time, I wasn't afraid to execute. You know, because like I remember reading on how to talk to homeowners. You know, and I would just read all the different books on how to talk to them, so that way when I called them, it was just that. And then, oh, we got to go and meet with the homeowner, build a rapport. I would read that chapter.
Yeah. Okay, so what you're saying, and I've heard this from you before, is that you don't like to overwhelm your brain with too much information at once. You like to learn one thing and then go out there and implement it.
And as fast as you can.
As fast as you can. And you know, that's awesome. But that's also a very different way of reading a book. I've never heard of that before. Usually you read a whole book, and if you're smart, you'll take notes. That way you remember what you read, because most times we forget what we read 15 minutes after we're done reading it. But you do something even next level, which is just read as much as you need to before you can go and implement the idea.
Yeah, like to me, implementation is what actually anchors things in.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's how I did it, and that's how I got in. Like, that's why I was never afraid. I think being afraid is always like you need to know the next step.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know the step I'm at,
Yeah.
and then once once I have the appointment, okay, I'll read that chapter.
One of the interesting things about you that I really enjoy is your unique perspective on marketing and how you kind of look at marketing differently than most people. Can you share that with us about how you feel that marketing has helped you grow your businesses and will grow your business in the future?
Yeah, so I look at marketing like this. So I learned, I didn't know I learned it from here until like later on when I look back at it. So when I was young, I did parties, and I simply asked I just simply asked myself, what makes a good party?
Of course.
And like why do we even go to a party, right? So we go for music, we go for drinks, but what else? It's to meet girls and guys,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's always more guys, right?
Always, yeah.
And so I was like, so if we just do a party focused on girls, meaning like a party that drew them out, the guys are automatically gonna come,
Yeah, of course.
right? And so if you identify the most important thing to whatever it is that you're doing, and you cater to that, everything else automatically comes. And so my first party was a model search party,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, every girl that's like 18, if they could be a model, they're gonna want to be it. And so I reached out to a modeling company, and got them to be a company that came out to take photos. And because our party was called Model Search, every guy in the neighborhood showed up.
Of course. Well, I wouldn't then.
Right. And so what I'm saying here is this. What I'm saying here is, if you can figure out what is the most important thing to whatever it is you're doing, what happens is people will then talk about it. People are gonna be like, "Oh, are you going to the model search party?" And so what I'm saying is that with marketing, it's not just putting something out there. You have to figure out how to put something out there that gets people to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the real marketing. It's the people talking. Like, we could be everywhere, but if people aren't talking about it, it doesn't create buzz.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's no buzz, it doesn't perform as well.
It's going to be flat.
Exactly. And so I'm always looking at like what's going to create that buzz, and what's going to make it talk.
Yeah.
And so that's my advice to it, is to get people to talk.
Mm-hmm. So what you basically figured out was, what's my bait? What is everyone after right now?
Yeah.
And what is the commodity that I need to be putting out there? And you found it with the parties, it was the females, and now in the space that you're in now, maybe it was more about the deal.
Yeah.
How do people find the deals? And then maybe that'll bring people out. So that's very, very interesting.
I'll give it to you. It's like if you're trying to meet, let's say, if you're a hard money lender, for example, and you're trying to meet the biggest dealers in the
Mm-hmm.
game, right? You're a hard money lender, you're trying to meet biggest dealers in the game. What do they want? They don't want deals. They already got them.
Yeah.
So what do they want? They want cheaper capital.
Yeah, they want easy cash.
So do an event promoting that you're going to give them the lowest rate possible, and let them compete for it.
And they'll come out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple.
Yeah, it really is, right? You just got to reverse engineer it.
Exactly. It's like, what is it that they want?
Hey, I'm sure you've seen a lot of not so many bad ads, but wasteful ads.
Yeah.
Where people just promote the wrong thing. I tell real estate agents all the time, stop promoting your face. No one wants to buy a real estate agent. People want to buy the house of their dreams. Promote the most beautiful top 5 kitchens in New Jersey on the market today. Promote things that people want, if that's what you're looking for, not the thing that you
It's not what you
think.
want.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to flip yourself.
Absolutely. That's amazing advice. And one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is also mindset, because you are one of those people who you didn't have to teach yourself mindset. It kind of almost came naturally. What you have, a lot of people want to emulate, but it's very difficult for people to get to that point. So the fact that you say you come with no fear when you're going to take a chance on something, how do you find yourself getting to that point where you're able to do that? And what advice could you give other people to be able to make those decisions that are difficult?
I was thinking about this again like a few weeks ago, and it's funny because I feel like we were raised to be afraid. We were like, oh, we can't afford this. It's always we were raised that way in a way. But I was because I was so oblivious. Like when you're an autistic child, like I didn't realize it, but I was oblivious to the world. Meaning I didn't know that I couldn't start my own business. I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know that, I was actually really empty. Like my mind was empty. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, because I didn't know you couldn't do anything, I was like, whatever came to mind, I just gave it a shot.
So you feel like your autism was a gift?
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. But I was also raised in a way to use it as a gift because I wasn't raised to be fearful of it.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I never thought I couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. One last question I'll leave with you, and it's for the audience. It's probably a good one as well. We like to know about our guests. We like to figure out like what, more a little bit about deeper inside of them. What was the happiest day of your life?
I think the happiest day of my life is when I realized that I have everything.
You had everything.
I realized that there's nothing else in the world I could ask for, and all I could, like, if I was to ask for anything else, I'm being selfish.
Yeah. What drove you to feel that you were happy?
We always compare. We always compare. Oh, like he has a nicer car, he has whatever. And so we feel like we're not enough. Yeah. But there's also even more people than us that doesn't have anything close to what we have. If you just realize what little you have is actually a lot, getting more becomes easy.
When you realized that, were you economically well off? Were you broke? What led you to believe that or have that thought?
I've lost all my money before, and because I've lost all my money before, I've thought about suicide before. I've thought about like, oh my God, like there's nothing else for me,
You felt like a disappointment?
Yeah, and then I've also used to be really, really shy, and so I went through my first breakup where I was like, this is the end of the world, because I couldn't meet somebody like my first girlfriend or whoever, because I was just not that capable,
Mm-hmm.
So I know what it is to be alone, super alone. I know what it is to be dead broke.
Depressed.
Yeah, and what I've realized is that it's all a belief. Like we believe.
What we tell ourselves.
Yeah, we believe we're alone. Mm-hmm. We believe we're dead broke. But what the universe is really saying to us is, hey, yeah, you're broke. Maybe you should learn how to make money with no money, because if you had money, you would never believe it.
Yeah.
I'll say this is probably a better example. I got into a car accident when I was 18, and I also had amnesia from that accident. And because I had amnesia in that accident, I didn't know my nose was ripped off of my face. Okay, but I knew one thing, which was my friend was driving. I didn't want him to get in trouble. So when they were asking me for medical attention, I was like, no. But I don't remember any of this because I don't have amnesia. I had amnesia. Next day, I got home. Next day, I woke up and I screamed. I was like, it was hurting so much. I was like, I went to look at the mirror and my nose was ripped off my face. And I told my mom, like, Mom, what happened? I asked her because she's like, you got into a car accident, because I didn't remember. And I was like, but what can we do with my nose? And she's like, let's go to the hospital, get some surgery done on it. And so I went to the hospital, got surgery done, and when they strapped me down to do surgery, they were like, Nick, we have to shoot 3 needles up your nose to give you anesthesia. It's gonna hurt. And I made a choice that day. I was like, yeah, it's gonna hurt, but you know what? It's hurting now already, And so what am I gonna do, scream some more? Does that actually make it any better? And so at that moment is when I learned that I don't have to feel the pain. I can choose not to feel it. And so when they shot up those needles, I didn't scream, I didn't nothing. Because I just chose to, I have to go through it no matter what,
Yeah.
And so from that, I learned that you don't have to, even though it's painful, you don't actually have to feel it. You don't have to process it. And so growing older throughout my life, I learned that, wow, like all the bad stuff, as bad as it is, you don't have to feel it. just hurry up through it.
Yeah.
Because the feeling is what drags us down.
Yeah, what a deep metaphor for life and
Yeah.
everything that we put ourselves through.
Yeah, we do it.
Yeah,
That's the
we do
craziest
it.
part. We do it.
Nick, how can someone find out about your real estate clubs, your meetups, whatever you're into, whatever events you got going on?
Okay, yeah. So we do events in New York, New Jersey, and PA. So if you're out in New York, just type in New York, spelled out R, the letter E, the letter I, letter A.com, and you'll go straight to our meetup for New York. For New Jersey, it's New Jersey spelled out REIA.com, and for Philadelphia, it's Philadelphia spelled out REIA.com.
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nick. Appreciate you having you
Anytime,
here.
bro.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.